All right. We are totally live from the Empowered Mom Studios. And I am just so excited because can you believe it's actually been 3 years since I started on this journey and where I was at? I mean, some of you know, some of you watched me in my transformation. Others of you, you saw me when I started already being sparkly. And you might not know this, but I used to be terrified of getting on camera, like to the point where I was like, no, no, I can't speak in front of people. I can't share my message. I'm just going to hide behind the scenes and I'm going to write my books and other people can speak for me, but I'm not going to speak. And daring to get up onto like a Zoom with like I'm dressed as Catwoman. I mean, yeah, it's Halloween, but it's like I'm Catwoman again. And that was another thing that I was absolutely terrified, like, oh, not like I can't get on camera to speak, let alone be my full expressive self. But there's just so much that has happened in the 3 years since I started on this incredible journey and met my incredible mentors and my friends and just transformed my life. Like, you can see it now. I mean, like, oh, right, like that. So you can see it now how it's like birth, healing, and transformation. It's right there. And look, it's like my freaking book is behind me. Like, I didn't have any of this stuff 3 years ago. You know what I had 3 years ago? All right, if you didn't know this about me, so back in 2019, my house had caught fire. Actually, it's coming up on that anniversary. On November 11th of 2019 is when my house caught fire. But the month before that, I was going to court to try to get a court date for custody for my kids and figure all that stuff out because my now ex had decided instead of us just splitting up amicably and figuring things out on my own, no, he got papers and served me. And before that, he got another woman pregnant. And before that, I had attempted many times to start my business and I didn't have the confidence to even really go for it because I didn't think that anybody would pay me what I was worth. And I was thinking that something where I'd sit down with someone and actually help create their birth plan was going to be a $50 service and it was going to take me a couple of weeks. I don't think that way anymore. My coaching is quite expensive. And the reason I do that is because I've got to protect my time. And I'm also creating programs and they're also going to be paid. And then I have classes and then I have my courses. And I mean, my book is out. And I recently raised the price back up now because I'm like, you know what? I'm raising the price of the paperback. If they want the cheaper version, they can get the ebook. It's $10. Anybody can pay $10 to get an ebook, but the paperback is a little bit more. And then I have the bonuses on top of that. And I wouldn't have had any of this stuff if it wasn't for people in my life who just really believed in me, people who came into my life. And so I really believe that when you make a vision of what you want in the future, when you really have that audacity to start moving towards it and you start to dream bigger dreams, even than what seems possible, this is when life changes. So as I said, like I was really, really down on myself back then. People kept telling me, you're really good at speaking. You should be on podcasts. I had no idea. It's like, there's no way I'm going to get on a podcast and talk. People were like, you should build a podcast. No, I hate my voice. There's no way anybody wants to listen to me speak, I said. You should go and do videos. No, no, I'm not getting on camera. No way, no way am I going to do that. In fact, one of my friends, I had turned her into the media spokesperson just so that I wouldn't have to talk to media if they ended up showing up at my events that I was throwing out in the park, just to tell people what was going on in the birth community because I was good and mad about it. And I knew it's like people need to know this. They need to know what they're walking into. They don't deserve to be traumatized. This is affecting how they show up as moms. This is affecting their bodies. This is affecting their kids. Is it affecting their relationships with their partners, the relationships with their family members, relationship with themselves, which is probably even more important. And I'm like, you know what? I can't. I seriously can't even deal with this anymore. And I mean, it's all in my book. I talk about this in my book as well. Just that journey of how I decided to become a birth advocate. But it started out simply as people need to know about this stuff. And it wasn't until I started to realize just how much value I was putting out into the world and the circumstances of partner cheating on me, being in an abusive, toxic relationship where my self-esteem was being chipped away at every single day. In fact, back in 2018, I had been so stressed out trying to manage the house on my own, my partner always working or going off and partying. And I'm sitting there with the kids and I'm like, I need a break. And I asked my sister for a break. And of course, she was a single mom too, so she couldn't be there the whole time. But she gave me that little bit of a break. My partner at the time, he came home and he's like, okay, you can go home now. So my sister went home, but then he was going out again the same night. And he's like, I'm going over next door to my friend's house. So I'm sitting there and I'm lying in the bed between my two kids. And I could hear the music going next door. And I could hear like everybody laughing next door. And I'm like, they're out having fun with all this freedom. And I am here trying to hold down this family all on my own. Like it's just me. I'm basically single in my relationship. And if he cares about me, he's going to realize just how much I'm going to break down. Because I'm going to break. I'm seriously going to break. I was at the point where I couldn't do anything for myself anymore. I was losing all that creative fire. I had wanted to write a romance novel and I'd had it working out since like 2011, that I had this concept of this romance novel after getting so much in my fan fiction community. So I had dreams, I had ambitions. Even when I was a little girl, I had dreams and ambitions. And slowly, one by one, what happened is I started to be told, that's not reality. You need to do something in the real world. And I started crushing my own dreams, which is the most depressing thing. But what happened is when I got good and mad and I was in this really dark place, I'm like, I need to smash something. So there were these old mason jars and they were full of peaches that didn't actually can properly. So I was like, I don't want to clean out all these stupid mason jars full of peaches that are like, it's just going to be a messy job. And I don't really need this many mason jars. So you know what? It would be really satisfying to smash something. So I didn't want to smash anything that would be actually destructive and like something I'd need. No, I wanted to smash something that was disposable. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be throwing these out anyway. And it would feel really good to smash something. So I don't even know what time it was, but it was probably after midnight. And I went and I got those peaches because I was mad. I was so mad. And I'd never been that mad before in all my life. Normally, I tried to stay away from my anger. And it's like, anger is not a productive thing. So I'd stay away from it. But I just had this rage. And I picked up those mason jars and I threw the first one and it bounced off the fence and it didn't smash. Well, that pissed me off even more. So I picked up another one and I threw it and it smashed. I'm like, oh, can I make it smash louder? So I picked up another one and I threw it and I was feeling so good because I'm like, oh, I can finally get some of this anger out. This is what I tell my clients too. Is like, you know what? If you've had your birth stolen from you or something really terrible has happened to you. I mean, there's some people that I'm coaching that aren't in the birth space now. It's like something terrible happened to you. Maybe it was an abusive relationship. Maybe it was your family not standing for you. Maybe a teacher had told you that your writing was crap and you internalized that message and you were like, well, I'm just going to stay hidden as a fan fiction writer. I'm not going to try to go for anything bigger because obviously I'm just not appreciated. It didn't matter how many fans were telling me, never ever stop writing. I will hunt you down if you don't write. Like you need to get this stuff out there. This is better than most of the stories out there. Most of the romance novels, like I write better than 50 Shades of Grey. Okay. Like I really do. And like people are like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. But I again, you hear those messages from people telling you that you can't do something or that it's not good enough. You get that criticism and you don't go for your dream. But then there's a point when you realize everything is being taken away from me, or I'm not reaching my full potential here. I could be doing so much more with my life. And I'm just really, really mad because I gave up on my dream. Other people aren't standing for my dream. People are telling me not to do this. They're saying it's too impossible. They're saying I should go for something else. They're saying that this person isn't like I should aim lower. So aiming lower in my relationships, I settled. Aiming lower in what I wanted in my dreams, I settled. Aiming lower in what I expected of people around me and how to treat me, I settled. I settled for crumbs. For years and years and years, I settled for crumbs. And in that moment, with those mason jars, I was like, I don't want to settle for crumbs anymore. I am so mad. I mean, I want to get my business up and running. I want to write a book. I want to have courses. I want to teach. I want to speak on this stuff. I want to actually help people, because the medical system just keeps doing this to these women. And I'm so sick and tired of seeing it. And I want to write my book, and I want to have my romance novels out there. Like it's time. My kids are getting bigger. What the hell am I going to do when they go to school? Like, I don't want to be in just a dead end job and trying to ask for time off just to go to a kid's Christmas concert or to attend a parent teacher interview right after school. I want to be involved in my kids' lives. Like, I don't want to send them to daycare, and I'm not making any money. I'm not able to go and get a job because every time I try to get a job, it's just not working with my partner's schedule. And I am stuck home trying to clean this house. And I hate doing all this housework all by myself and holding down the fort all by myself. And nobody is helping me. And I am so mad. So I smashed mason jars. My partner, he came home and he told me that I was losing it and that I needed like help, like psychiatric help. So I actually believed that. And he had also threatened to leave me. He said, "You're crazy and I'm going to leave you." This was the first time. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm crazy. I think I'm just stressed. But you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe I am having a psychotic break. I feel like I'm having a psychotic break. I mean, I'm at the point now where I don't know if I want to even be in this world. Like, I was so lost, so dark. It was just so dark in my world. It was so sad. It would bring you to tears if you really knew just how much I was dealing with. And like the light had drained from my face. I looked 10 years older. I was only in my early 30s and I felt like I was already 60. It was horrible, horrible. And every single one of my dreams just gone. And to be like, I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't even want to face the day. I was laying on the couch. The kids would be watching Disney movies. They'd want to play and I had no energy. I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was lay there. And I wanted to cry, but I couldn't even cry. Like I just couldn't cry. But when I threw those mason jars, you better believe I had that rage and I cried. And then for him to say I was crazy, I actually went to the hospital that day. And I went because I wanted to have an evaluation. Like, I wanted to talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I wanted to see, it's like, can you prove that I don't need medication? Because now I'm starting to doubt whether or not I need medication. He took one look at me. He's like, "No, you're just under a lot of stress. You don't need medication." And I said, "Can you put that in writing?" That should have been a huge red flag for me to recognize, like, in order for my partner to believe that I didn't need help, that like I just needed support, but I didn't need psychiatric help, that I wasn't crazy. I needed to have it put in writing by a doctor. And you know, that's what happens when you're in the wrong relationship. You're in a relationship where slowly over the years, pieces of yourself gets chipped away, and it doesn't happen all at once. Instead, it happens very slowly, like you're being boiled in a pot of water and it's just slowly turning up the heat over the years. And as you continue to see all of your dreams start to be sacrificed, you're like, well, relationship is just compromise. So I have to compromise on everything. No, not in the right relationship, not in a true love relationship. I've seen it. I've seen it from what Annie and Eben emulate and what I've learned since then in my virtual coach community and the family that I've built around me. And I've seen what's possible for me. And I'm like, I'm not settling for anything less than true love. I'm just not. I'm not going to have just a regular relationship where I compromise on myself, or there's no passion, there's no excitement. It's just a commitment and a friendship, but there's no raw passion. Like, I can't do that. No, I have to have it all. I am a Scorpio. It's all or nothing for me. And the same thing with my business. If I'm not feeling lit up by what I'm doing, it's not for me. I could be making all the money in the world, but if it's not lighting me up, it's not for me. And that's why I'm going into a direction with birth healing and transformation, because it lights me up to take a mom who has given up on all of her dreams, walk her through her birth experience or something else, and then see her transform and have that confidence. And the way I did it again was just having that rage. So here's the thing about your life transforming is it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in increments. And usually what happens first is that you have this moment where everything is falling apart and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then you get that moment of rage. How dare this happen to me? You dig deep into that and you let yourself feel that. And I've just done this again recently in another area of my life where I was feeling like, first I was really, really sad because things had happened a way that I didn't want them to, but at the same time I knew had to happen to be able to break the pattern, to break the cycle, to shift to something new, because I'd been doing this dance for almost 3 years. And I'm like, like, this is just, it's not working. And just like with my business, it's not working. I have to build myself up. I have to rise like the phoenix. And so in Scorpio season, this is what happens is I rose like a phoenix. So the following year, after 2018, when I first attempted to leave my partner, because I noticed that my dreams were falling apart. I noticed that it was abusive, but I was scared and I didn't have my 5 pillars yet. I hadn't figured it out. I hadn't built it up yet. I didn't have my mindset strong. I wasn't addressing my fears, because it's one thing to go and talk in therapy, and I did go to therapy, but it's another thing to actually take action. And I noticed even when I was in therapy that I was taking action. So I actually went beyond what I was told to do. And I wrote a letter. Like it wasn't even a letter. It was a story, because I actually process better through stories. So I wrote a story about, there's 2 people inside me. There's the little girl and there's the mother. And the little girl she's just scared. And she just needs to cling to this relationship and this life because it's all she's known, and she doesn't know how to trust. And the mother is recognizing that all her dreams are being crushed, and the little girl just keeps hanging on and will not let her do what she needs to do. And the mother keeps saying, I can take care of you. And the little girl doesn't trust it. Like, it was a very, very deep introspective thing. And again, that's what you do, is you go deep into your actual psyche and you recognize, like, hey, there's a piece of me that wants these dreams, and there's another piece that's holding me back. And I need to make that piece that's holding me back feel safe. So there's 2 things. You get good and mad, and you recognize the piece that's your dream and what's holding you back. The final piece, again, is taking action towards it. So more stuff happened. In 2019, I still hadn't left. This is when we were trying to still make it work, and it was on again, off again. He was in a bedroom, and I was nicely packing up his stuff and moving it from bedroom to bedroom. So sometimes he'd be in with me, sometimes he'd have his own bedroom. And every time I would be the one dutifully folding his shirts, putting them away, making it all nice. As he was raging and being nasty to me, this is what I was doing. I was being so kind and loving. Like, it was like Cinderella being treated horribly by her step sibling and stepsisters and her stepmother. and still being kind is what I was doing. It's like, have courage and be kind. Even when people were being so mean to me, I had courage and I was kind, right up until the point that he cheated on me, got another woman pregnant. And I'm like, how are we going to reconcile this? Like, you've just done the most horrible betrayal. It's not even just the cheating. I'm no longer the only mother of your children. Like, I gave you the most precious gift that you could have possibly gotten from me. And now it's tarnished because you've got it with somebody else and it doesn't even mean anything. Like, this beautiful gift doesn't mean anything. And that hurt. That hurt so much. It was like I gave everything and it just was not appreciated. The values were just too different. We did not have the same core values. We did not actually see eye to eye. I fell in love with the love bombing. I fell in love with him telling me every once in a while that I was magnificent. And then I squinted every time he said I wasn't. And I fell in love with the gifts and the attention. And I squinted every time I was so alone in that relationship. And I squinted in other areas of my life. I fell in love with what I was doing, but I squinted on the fact that, hey, I could actually do something with this. Like, this is my path. I don't have to take some meaningless job that kills my soul. I can do what I love. And slowly, over that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start working on my business. And then the universe decided, when I was still kind of holding back, burned my house down, literally. So going through a separation, starting to get on my feet, he starts to try to get his way back in, and he's saying he's going to change, and I'm believing it. And suddenly the universe is like, that's it. That's it. Kicking your ass. Because sometimes the universe does that, is it kicks your ass. And the universe has kicked my ass a few times recently too, in other areas of my life. I mean, I got stung by a wasp, and I know exactly why that happened. Sometimes the universe just gives you that thing at that moment of kicking your ass. So I noticed in that moment that even though he said he was going to support me in my business, what actually ended up happening as I was rebuilding my life from scratch is that he found out that he was the father of that baby. He wasn't supporting me. He actually put that baby in my lap when things opened up again after the pandemic. And like, we were allowed to have our bubble. So we went to his friends and his party, and he brought that child with him. So this tiny little baby, and I love babies. I love them so much. But at the same time, even though that baby was so cute and I adored him, I knew that's not my baby, that's his baby. And I am just the stepmother. And it was the most humiliating thing for him to put that baby in my lap. Well, he went and hung out with his friends, and I'm just sitting there holding this bottle because I can't breastfeed because this isn't my child. So I'm like, I never bottle fed my babies. I breastfed them. So it's like, it's again, knowing it's like, this is not my child. And I wanted another baby, and I couldn't have one because he'd already had his, and it hurt so much that I couldn't have another one. And I'm like, you know what? This sucks. This sucks. And it was that night that I said, that's it. I don't care anymore. I'm done. I am so done. I am going to write my book. I am going to build my business. And he is either going to step up and rise to the level that I need and come with me and be my empowered dad who speaks to the dads of just how amazing birth is and what you can do as a conscious father, or he's going to fall away. And I don't care if I meet anybody else. I don't care. I don't care if I'm single for the rest of my life. I can't do this to my children anymore. I can't do this to myself anymore. I can't do this to my dreams anymore. I can't sit here holding this child that's not mine. And I can't sit here and have people constantly telling me that I'm not good enough. I can't do it anymore. So over that summer, I not only wrote a book, I wrote that whole rough draft and I finished it at the end of October. In fact, I finished it just before November. And I'm like, I just finished this before Halloween. So 3 years ago, I finished the rough draft of my book. And I was like, this is awesome. But not only did I do that, I'm like, I want to know how to self-publish. So I went and I got this book, this ebook to teach me how to self-publish and how to write my book fast. Cause I had to get it done. And I couldn't stall on it anymore. And I knew I had procrastination because I'd already done it with my novels. Like I'd go back and I'd fix things. I had perfectionism that was like, you know what? It's not perfect and I have to keep fixing it. So I'd go back and fix the chapters. And this book told me that to write mine, I just had to just keep writing and ramble and just do my thing and get it all out there. Here's the funny thing is that most of what's in that 90,000 word behemoth didn't even make it into the book. Just the concept did. I recognized the concept as I was writing out that first really, really long rough draft and I got my processes down. And then I'm like, okay, next step, building an audience. How do I do that? I learned that I needed an email list. Okay, how do I do that? I started attending webinar after webinar after webinar. I took advantage of the fact that the world had shut down. I said, you know what? Before, I wouldn't have been able to get to university or college or take any classes because I have to stay home with these kids. But everything's online now and it's free. And I'm getting so much schooling. I'm learning more about marketing and sales and everything that I need for psychology and understanding how it all works together and how to build an audience. And I'm getting all these pieces. And I had a notebook that was like this thick, full of stuff. I was just taking notes on everything. It was like I was going to school with how many webinars I'd attend. I'd drop my son off in the morning for school, and then I'd get down onto the computer. Michaela would watch her shows on Disney Plus, and I would just sit on webinar after webinar after webinar, taking notes to the point that I was burned out. By the time October rolled around, I had a Facebook group. I had 50 people in it already. Moms were learning from me, and I had one coaching call with someone who wasn't completely right for my program. She was near the very end. She was like 1 week away from her due date. So I'm like, I don't feel good about coaching you because I wouldn't feel right taking your money for something so short. I mean, I was still very much not recognizing I could have paid, I could charge per session, but I'm like, no, I have to have a program. So I had that mindset in place. I didn't actually know all the things that I needed. And by the time October ended, I had made some new friends. I was in an accountability group, and one of my friends, Joanna, who's still to this day a dear friend, and I just got in touch with her a couple of days back, and she called me and I told her what I've been doing now, and I just love her. But she told me, hey, there's this challenge that you need to check out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the week of my birthday. Like there's no way I'm going to do anything else during the week of my birthday. I'm done. But she tagged me. The most amazing thing happened is that the universe basically gives you your teachers and the people that you're meant to be in connection with, to learn from, to be inspired by, when you start to take action. It doesn't happen before that. So you actually have to have the vision. And I had a vision. Believe me, did I have a vision? The vision was, and I'm sorry for mentioning this, but I was already energetically leaving my ex by that point. When he put that baby in my lap, I just knew it's like, if he can't step up, if he can't be what I need, I'm leaving. So I had two paths. One, he steps up and supports all my dreams and changes. Two, he doesn't. He continues on the way that he's doing. I get super successful and powerful because I can make my own money and nobody can take it for child support because it's mine. But like, I just be single and it's okay. And I'll be fine because I'll have my book out in stores and people will flock to me and I'll have that impact. And I had this dream that one day he was going to come home if he didn't change. This is if he didn't change. He was going to come home and he was going to see that all of our stuff was gone and it was just his stuff left. And there was going to be a pile of text messages that I'd printed out. and all the letters that I'd ever sent him over the years, telling him how much I needed him to change because I was being hurt, where I was just expressing my hurt and pain in a way to hope that he would understand, like, you've got to help me with this. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Never shaming him or making him wrong, but just expressing my feelings. And he would never read them. And he'd say, you think that I'm going to read all that? Didn't care. And it's like, I was going to write on the top in a Post-it, that's why I left, along with my 56 reasons why I left you thing that I'd written up that summer. And I wrote it in future. So I wrote it as, I'm writing from the future. It is present tense. And it's like, this is all the things that happened. And I just started listing all of the humiliating, horrible things. And that's when I got that fire again, because when you start to recognize how much is not working and you write that vision of what you want your life to be, which I did, it's like, I've got my book and I'm teaching and I'm helping people and I'm speaking. And I've got this amazing partner beside me who is standing for all of my dreams, but he didn't fit in that role. He just didn't. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I don't have the partner. Maybe I'm just by myself. And then I found my home. I found my people. I found my family. I found the virtual coach community. I took action on all of the classes and all of the trainings. In fact, there's actually a Coach Expo going on right now. Like, we just finished our first day and I'm leading up to something here. But I remember when I first attended, because Joanna tagged me in the first video and I watched this challenge going on, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm home. Oh my gosh, like, I found family here. I found my home, but it doesn't make any sense because these people are so high above me. And who am I but this really broken, sad, timid little stay-at-home mom who's got a t-shirt on and her hair is all limp and no makeup and just no light to her at all, no light even in her eyes, and no idea where to start, and no, like, had a house fire, so my finances are just depleted. All I have is my birthday money. It's only $150. That's all I've got. And then it's like, you have the opportunity to go backstage and you have the opportunity to get the recordings for life. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm going to invest in, because there's also a ticket to a summit. And again, if this was live in person, it would be thousands and thousands of dollars and I'd have to find childcare for my kids and I wouldn't be able to do that. But this is virtual. I need to get in front of these people and I need to learn everything I can possibly learn. And during that event, I had visions, very strange visions. Like, these people are going to be my best friends. Like, I'm going to be sitting next to them one day. I'm going to be at those live events with them. I'm going to be part of the team. And I'm going with somewhere with this, because what happened is I got into virtual coach in 2021, just a few days after I left my ex. Then I graduated from virtual coach. A couple of months pass. November rolls around again. Things are starting to move and shake because I've now had clients. I have a coaching practice. I have been using all of those tools. I have been on podcasts speaking, which I never thought I would do. I had created courses and workshops that people actually said, hey, I didn't get to watch the whole thing when it was live. Can I buy the recordings off of you? And I said, yes. And I sold that as a course. Like, I sold something for $47 and it's like, it was free. And I recorded it and it's like, they went through it. The most incredible thing is that one of the people that bought that course, they didn't even go through all of 5 days. They went through the first 3 days. And she's like, you know, I never finished the course, but I got what I wanted. Like, I got like amazing results from just those 3 days. And like, sweet. So you don't even have to go through my whole course and you can get what you need from it. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be so easy that anybody could do this and have this massive transformation. So I'm like, yes, my process works. I wrote my book over 2022. I had the PDF version. I was giving that out to a few people to read over, to see. It's like, is this making sense? Does this work? And they're like, this is a wealth of information. This is amazing. This is just this is the book that's needed. So I had all that already set up. Then I get into the high level program, Virtual Coach Accelerator, right in November. And it's a year-long program. And I had remembered way back in 2021 when I first heard about Virtual Coach Accelerator. First, I'm like, I'm going to get into virtual coach someday. I'm going to get into it. Like, this is my program I'm going to get into. And then it happened that summer. And I said, I'm going to get into Virtual Coach Accelerator. I don't know how. I don't know how I'll do it. But when I get successful, I'm going into Virtual Coach Accelerator. And then that happened. And I'd also said, I'm going to be speaking on stage and I'm going to be part of the team. And I was already energetically helping in the chat beforehand. And I was showing up on all the webinars and everything. And I was just giving that energy and I was supporting everybody because you know what? This community and the programs are just so amazing. They transformed my life, not only in teaching me what I needed to do to write my book and to market myself and to speak as I speak, but also just the confidence. I am me. I'm seriously talking as Catwoman right now. Where there's a time when I was 8 years old when I started to hide that part of myself, but I am back. I am so expressive and I can see those opportunities. And again, that's what happens when you're in the right community. So I really thrived. I had my 5 pillars. I had the mindset. I was getting past my fear. I was working through the tools. I had the education. Because now I was learning from people who had already done what I wanted to do and they could tell me the map so I could get it faster. I had the right environment. Whereas before I was in a pot of dirt trying to grow. Now I was in rich soil with so many resources and so many people in that community saying, hey, by the way, there's this book and there's this thing. Oh, you want to do this? Here's this. Oh, I'm going to give you all the support, all of the love. And I had that. The right facilitators. Well, hell, my mentors were the right facilitators. They knew exactly what I wanted to do. They cared about what I wanted and they pushed me into greatness. That's what you want in a mentor, in a coach, in a teacher, is somebody who sees your potential and sees your next level before you do, even before you've grown fully into it, and they're pushing you towards it. And even as you're scared, they are loving you into it. And then they're reflecting your greatness back at you. So I had that. And then the right support came in with the friends that I made within that. And then my mentors became my friends. That happened. Like just recently, like last month, I was hanging out with Evan and Annie and I was talking to Annie and I was just telling her all the amazing things. Like she's my bestie. Like it was like awesome energy and hugging Sasha too, Annie's sister. And just having that and being able to hang out with everybody and just like be in that for 2 days was just incredible. And back in January, I spoke on stage. I got up on stage. I was part of a success panel. Not only was I part of it, I closed it. I closed it with my 5 pillars. I said, this is the path to success. You need the right mindset, the right education, right environment, the right facilitators, and the right support. And you get it all in this community. I said that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is how fast your life can change. When you do that, when you recognize, first of all, when you see that all your dreams are falling apart, when you see that everything is dark, you go deep in and you find the light, you get good and mad and you take action. Even baby steps gets you that action. I took so many baby steps, but I kept taking them. And I did not give up. You cannot fail if you never give up. And I am a bulldog, as my ex likes to say. I will not give up. Or a pit bull. He said, you're like a pit bull. You just don't give up. No. When it's calling to my heart and soul, I don't give up because I've seen that vision and that vision is too beautiful, too incredible, too extraordinary to settle for less. And I just won't. So I'm intentionally single till I get true love. I'm intentionally not taking on clients just because I could get some money from them, but because I want to find the right people who I can create that transformation for. I'm intentionally doing things in my life that other people are like, well, why are you doing it that way? And it's like, no, because I'm actually going towards a vision. I have a vision and I'm taking tiny incremental little bits of action. And then the third thing, the most important thing, is running it through those 5 pillars. So you create the vision, and this is what I do with my clients too, is I create the vision. And I also have them get good and mad, because having the vision is great. You're like, you know what? I love this dream. This dream looks so great, but I'm down here. I'm not going to be able to climb up to that. So maybe I should settle. And this is what they do in the birth community too. It's like, you know what? I really want this hands-off birth experience where I'm treated with all the respect and I get to just experience the power of my body. But you know, things happen. So I should probably just aim lower. No, I'm telling you, aim as high as possible. Get that big, audacious dream, aim for it, believe in it, believe it can happen. And then when you start to have those little sad doubts, you keep going back to that vision. And then you also get good and pissed off every time somebody says you can't have that. Every time you realize you compromise on yourself, you get good and mad. And I talk about that in my book too. I'm like, you get good and mad. In chapter 7, when I'm talking about how to get the birth you want after previous trauma, how to heal and get the birth you want the next time, I even say you got robbed of your last experience. You need to use that fire because it's going to propel you to get what you want. Because then once you have that drive and it's like, I am not going to stay stuck anymore. This is my vision over here. Like the prince from Sleeping Beauty. I just found out that Princess Aurora, who I was supposed to marry and stay at the castle, but I went into the forest and went and found the maiden in the forest, but she's not there. And I got kidnapped by this wicked fairy. And now this wicked fairy is telling me that, by the way, you could have stayed at the castle and Princess Aurora would have been there for you. But no, now you're going to be stuck here for 100 years. And I'm not letting you out. You're not going to break the spell. Your princess is going to be asleep in that tower for the rest of her life. And you're going to die an old man. And then I'll let you out when you're a ghost. Like, that's basically what she did. And he got good and mad. And then the fairies came in, the faith. So the fairies came in. They rescued him. And he is just fighting and he is hacking at all of the pig demons and he is just going for it. And oh, there's the thorns, but he is hacking through those thorns. He is going to keep going because it's not just any ordinary princess in there. That's his true love. So he keeps fighting and fighting and he fights that dragon. That's the same thing. You're fighting a dragon. Actually, if you want to hear the whole thing about that, I did do a talk with my friend and mentor, Donald, who's like my adopted dad. And we did that way back in April. So that's another thing. I have been on talks with really high level people that are just incredible interviewers. And I just shone on that. And I looked at myself back then and I'm like, I was so confident back then, but I'm even more now. I'm even more now in my sparkly confidence than I was back in April. So again, things change so fast. The more you build that confidence, the more you take action towards your true vision and dreams, instead of settling for less, the more magnificent it becomes and the more it manifests. So then, as I said, the last piece is having those 5 pillars. You need 5 pillars. You need to have that right mindset. Got to get past your fears. Got to have those limiting beliefs taken care of. No more foot on the gas pedal and foot on the brake. You've got to take your foot off the brake. You've got to believe it's actually possible. You need to have the right education, knowing certain things, having certain pieces to be able to fit the puzzle pieces together in a way that starts to make sense and be like, oh yeah, so when I did that thing, that happened. Oh yeah, so that happened. Somebody said this. And oh, now I'm seeing the path. Now I'm seeing the trail. And you've got to have that right environment too. You've got to be able to thrive. If you're not thriving in your environment, if you're just settling for less, you're not taking care of yourself or others aren't taking care of you. They're not supporting you. They're not giving you the resources you need, feeding you those pieces of information. It's not going to work because you're stuck in your fear. You've got nobody to help you, nothing to help you feel safe. You need to have a safe space to be able to do that. If you're in a very stressful environment where everything is coming at you, you can't be safe. That's why I had to leave as fast as I did. I left my ex as fast as I did because I knew to be able to build my dream as fast as I wanted to build it, I had to leave. There's just no way. You can't do a workshop and have your partner kicking things around in the background, making everything a huge mess and just contributing to that. You can't. It doesn't work. I mean, you can still do it, but you are still stressed. So everything is still so much harder than if you don't have that stress. I noticed such a difference in how I taught my first 2 workshops to how I taught my last few before I switched tactics. And I'm like, wow, look how much more I can thrive in an environment that I can control it enough that I can feel safe in. And then having the facilitators, the mentors, who can then also help you see your own magnificence and get you out of your own way and lovingly kick your ass when you need it. I mean, I got a real nice ass kicking from Annie over the summer for something I was also kind of holding back on out of fear and my own insecurities. And so like she really kicked my ass and I am just so grateful to her for that. I mean, Donald's kicked my ass a few times too and getting me out of my own way. I mean, I've got this book sitting behind me because Donald kept kicking my ass and telling me I needed to get my book out there. And he'd do it in an indirect way where he was teaching, but I knew what you were doing, Donald. I knew what you were doing. You know, I know. Kicking my ass in that and kicking my ass to get on stage and kicking my ass to speak in the group more than once and getting my confidence up there. I know. Like when you have friends like that, mentors and friends and coaches like that, you can't fail. It's impossible. They won't let you. And I am like that for all of my clients and my friends too, because I will sit there and I will let them have their feelings. And then I point out their greatness and then I push them towards it. Even when they're scared. I'm like, see what I did there? See, you're going to get this thing. Yeah. You're going to write that book. Yeah. You're going to go and teach that class. Yeah. You're going to go and find your ideal client. You're going to find your first person. You're going to go and you're going to speak to somebody that you're a little intimidated by. You're going to do it. And then they do the thing. And then they're like, I did the thing. And then I did another thing on top of it, another thing. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because when you take action, because your mentors and your coaches have pushed you to take action, that's when things happen. And then the support around you, having those friends. And then also, here's the other piece though. When you start to really go towards your dreams and you're your full authentic self, I'm just going to let you know there are people in your life who are not going to see your dreams. There are people in your life, probably right now, who are scared because they can't see it. Nobody has ever done it that way before. And they're wanting to protect you. They love you, but they just don't have that vision and they don't know what they don't know. And they hold you back. And they won't support that until they see it. They won't believe it until they see it. And it's okay to love those people from a distance. If they really start to hurt you and start to tear you down, it's okay to just lovingly put that distance. I've had to do that with quite a few people that I love so much. And it's sad. It's really sad that I have to do that right now. It really hurts. And at the same time, I can't sacrifice my dreams and I can't go back into that box. I can't clip my wings. I can't take my colorful rainbow fish scales off and hand them to somebody else because then I'm not going to be as magnificent anymore. And I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be me. And so right now, there's a few people, I can't be me around them because every time I'm me, they get scared and they try to talk me out of being me. They try to make me be something else out of their own fear. And I know that it's out of love, but they're also afraid. It's like with my clients when their mom or their partners or anybody in their life tries to say, hey, it's too dangerous to have a home birth. Please just go to the hospital. And they listen. And I did the same thing. I really didn't feel I needed to birth Hunter in the hospital, but everybody around me told me I needed to, because what if something goes wrong? And so I played small and I went to the hospital. And the only good that really came out of it was I rose from the ashes and I wrote that book. That book wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that journey. And that's the thing though, is that you need to have that support. And your most important person in your life to support you is your partner. Which means that if you don't have the sanctuary for your heart and the trampoline for all of your dreams, who can also basically accelerate and enhance everything that you're building, and they see that vision for you and they see your greatness and they continue to reflect that greatness to you, they won't let you play small. They also won't shame you for it. They'll still unconditionally love you for it, but they won't play small with you. They won't let you settle for less than you deserve. And they truly take care of your heart. And when you're around them, you feel like you can just be yourself, even in your mess, because they're just going to love you anyway. They're not going to have any judgment, criticism, because they love you just as you are. And also they see that you can be better. Like with Damon and Elena are one of my favorite characters, like, because there's a moment where she still thinks she's in love with Stefan, and Damon is laying dying in season 2. And I just love this exchange where he's like, he had already told her he loved her, but then he erased her memory of it. And she didn't find out until years later when she became a vampire. But like, he had said, I know it's always going to be Stefan, but I love you. And like, you should have met me in 1864. You would have liked me. And she said, I like you now just the way you are. And then she kisses him. Of course, it confuses the hell out of her, but she kisses him as he's lying there dying. And then he gets cured because there's 8 seasons of Vampire Diaries. But the thing is, like, she loved him even though he couldn't love himself, even though he's like, I'm a monster. What he had said to her when he told her he loved her the first time, he's like, I love you, Elena, and it's because I love you that I can't be selfish with you, and why you can't know this. I don't deserve you, but my brother does. I wish you didn't have to forget this, but you do. And then he leaves her. And then he goes and takes up with this other woman, Andy, who's basically like his stand-in, because he needs to be able to get his head on straight while he's also standing for her dream, for Elena, to protect her, because she's in danger and he's protecting her, but he has to do it from a place where he's not conflicted, because he needs to be who he needs to be, which is the one that's like, I'm willing to let her hate me if it will protect her. I won't let her die. I won't let her kill herself or sacrifice herself. I will let her hate me if it means that she keeps living. I mean, that's what they did. And like, it was just, it's so beautiful. It's like, I'm willing to let you go if it means your happiness. And that is the kind of partner you need. And I was willing to let my ex go, but I also recognized that I was also clinging at the same time, because it wasn't real. It was a mask. I loved the mask. But him not changing, I couldn't do it because I needed someone different. So you have to have that partner who is going to be the one that loves you just as you are, and also loves you in your magnificence, and keeps pushing you to your next level, and never gives up on you, ever. Even if they have to love you at a distance, they never give up on you. Even if they know that it's right, but it's not right now, they still love you. They never, ever, ever give up on that vision. That's your true love. And that is how you can accelerate your growth and transformation. I may not have the partner right now, but I have the vision. And I have built friends around me, and I have men in my life that are my best friends, that are like basically standing in at that role right now. I don't have the romantic connection, but I have, it's like you want to have someone who is going to treat you as well or better than your very best friends. Well, I have so many best friends that are men to be able to show me that I don't have to settle anymore. And now, like, this is incredible. Today I was part of the team. I have all these friends. I'm doing things that seemed impossible 3 years ago when I was still in that basement suite that didn't even have a proper door and a proper lock. And most of my stuff had been burned, and I didn't have any clothes that really fit me properly or suited my style because everything had burned. So I was just taking whatever people gave me, and it wasn't really my style, but I wore it. And then when I left my ex, I started buying up clothes because it's like, you know what? I'm getting rid of all this stuff that's not me, and I'm taking in everything that is me. So that's what I want to leave you with. You want to be your most authentic, aligned version of yourself where you're going towards all of your dreams. You need the 5 pillars. You need to get good and mad when people are telling you you can't have your dreams. You need to have that vision. And thanks for coming to my little TED Talk. I've just had an incredible journey, and I just have this feeling that things are just going to take off even more. Something about November. It just feels like things are really happening, and I can't wait. I really can't. I'm really excited for my next level, and I know it's coming because I have the vision, and the vision is beautiful, and it's closer than I might even think. All right. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.